Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and my friends on the web. At the outset, thank you very much, sir, Group Captain Mohandas, for this kind introduction. I place on record my gratitude and sincere thanks to my old friend Sujit Haridas, who's played a very key role in bringing up the industry awareness in the defense sector while he was based out of Delhi for a very long time, during which we had very intimate interaction with CII while shaping the policy in the offsets as well as the defense procurement procedures. I'm grateful to you, and Sujit, and I'm grateful to you, sir, for this opportunity. And it's very interesting that we are now discussing the potential for the MSMEs in the defense sector. The focus for MSMEs in the defense sector, to be very honest, has been provided for the first time in the recently announced offset guidelines effective 1st August 2012, and in fact we will discuss that. And along with that, we will also throw some light and try and find out what synergies are available in the defense procurement procedures as such, as well as see how the MSMEs can really benefit from this opportunity, which I call as guaranteed business, provided by the Government of India. So I start with the punchline to say, if India lives in villages, well, industry lives in the MSMEs. And therefore, if the Government of India, Ministry of Defense, is keen to develop what they call as the defense industrial base, they have no choice but to focus on the MSME segment and have their intentions as sincere as possible, with tweaking of the policy to the extent possible to enable and help MSMEs get the benefit of this huge potential that we have in the defense sector. With this, I proceed with a small presentation, and at the end of the presentation, I understand we have a question-answer session. So I will take on each aspect with the intensity that it deserves, and if I have missed out anything, it will be deliberate, and therefore any questions either on the aspects that we have covered or those that we have not covered is always welcome. For the uninitiated, why offsets? So this particular slide is only for those who are not yet initiated into this game. The government perspective has been to leverage the buying power, because we thought we are a monopsony as against a monopoly, and in a monopsonic situation we thought it's best to leverage the buying power and create a manufacturing base that would address the needs of self-reliance. So with that perspective, the government actually went ahead with an offset policy, knowing fully well that there were about 130 countries that were doing offsets even before India entered into this game. So what should be a private industry perspective? Why I'm saying specifically private industry perspective is, the government industry already gets the benefits of offsets or no offsets. They get some benefits because of their position. Whereas the private industry really sees this as an opportunity, and it would like to use offset as a route to amalgamate into the global defense supply chains, in addition to the self-sustenance of the armed forces. Before we proceed, we should know what are the rules of engagement. The rules of engagement in defense, we are talking about the categories of procurement which are laid out in the defense procurement procedures, which are, I'll just recount, there are 5 of them. In the buy category, we have buy global and buy Indian. In the buy and make category, we have the buy and make global and the buy and make Indian, and then we have the make category. So you can as it is see that there is a focus on getting the supplies through the indigenous route, either through a buy Indian or through a buy and make Indian or through a make, which will be the favorably adopted route as we go forward, and we will see most of the government procurements in the Ministry of Defence following one of these three routes. However, to meet the requirements of the armed forces, we need to adopt a buy global category as well and a buy and make global. So whenever we adopt a buy global and a buy and make global, for a high value procurement, the threshold that we have laid down in the Ministry of Defence is 300 crores, or for the foreign OEMs, we can say it is something like $65 million. So around this figure, which is a high value procurement, the government insists and mandates to the supplier that he will repatriate minimum of 30% of the contract value. And this 30% is not sacrosanct, it could be higher, will be as determined by the highest body in the Ministry of Defence, which is called as the Defence Acquisition Council, chaired by the Honorable Raksha Mantri. So the rules of engagement are that we are here not talking of offsets as a quality ingredient to determine the L1, the lowest bidder. What we are talking of offsets is a mandatory application. We are talking about a minimum eligibility, and as long as the foreign OEMs are able to fulfill the mandated minimum eligibility conditions laid down by the Government of India, all the offset offers will be at par, and they will not be used, an offset proposal will not be used to determine the lowest bidder. In principle, an offset contract should be coterminous with the main contract, and in the revised guidelines they have provided an extension of up to 24 months beyond this period. There is a small penalty that is laid down on the foreign OEM for not fulfilling the offset contract as given by him in his schedule, which means year on year, if he's supposed to fill an amount of offset obligation, which could be $100 million every year for, let's say, for 10 years, and he doesn't fulfill that, so year on year there is a penalty of 5%. What the government has done now in the revised offset guideline is to carry out a risk mitigation, and in the risk mitigation they have said that there should be a cap of 20%, which means that the maximum penalty that an OEM will ever pay will not be more than 20%, irrespective of the 5% year-on-year penalty that is there on him. So the question is, who is an Indian offset partner? This is where we are all interested in. I should give you a little background to this. When we started the whole concept of the offset guidelines and the offset policy, we had intended it to be a direct discharge of offset obligations. Direct discharge as against discharge onto the platform under procurement. It is a direct discharge into the defense sector. To that extent, we are already following a middle path. If you see the yellow thing right down below highlighted, India follows a middle path for implementing offsets. We are not strictly confining ourselves to the platform under procurement. So as long as we discharge the offsets into the defense sector, as we called it in 2006, and in 2011 this has been expanded to eligible products and eligible services, because in addition to the defense sector, we have also added the civil aviation and the homeland security, or in Indian terms we call it as inland stroke coastal security. So an Indian offset partner is one who, besides any other extant regulations of the Government of India, will also abide by the regulations given by the DIPP. This means two things. Firstly, an Indian offset partner does not need a license to participate in offsets, number one. Secondly, a license will be required if the extant regulation or the regulation of the DIPP so prescribes. So if the product under manufacture is under the restricted list, well, then irrespective of whether he's an offset partner or not, you need an industrial license. But just because you want to participate in offsets, you don't require an industrial license. Now I'll come to that thing highlighted in blue, which says that the tier 1 on a particular program are permitted to discharge offsets. This has been a requirement for some time, and the government has very kindly accepted and has given a clarification to this extent, which means that that means this is a sub-tier, and the sub-tier and this sub-tier, the tier 1 and the tier 2 can also discharge offset obligations. Okay, this is to my mind, the most important slide in the entire presentation. If we have understood this, we have understood everything else. What are the avenues for discharge of offsets? So I'll start with the first one. The first one is direct purchase or execution of export orders. What it means is that a foreign OEM can go to an Indian company, place an order for direct purchase. He directly goes to an Indian company, says, I want to buy so many actuators from you, or I want to buy so many items, let's say so many printed circuit boards from you, or I want to buy. So he places a direct order. There is an invoice, there is a purchase order. The payment is made to the Indian company in dollars. The product is taken away by the OEM, either as an export or for integration into the platform under procurement, or for integration under any other platform which is available in India. The second aspect of the whole thing is exports. This is different from a direct purchase in the sense this is called an execution of an export order. What it means, I'll give you an example. HAL produces the Dhruv helicopter, for example. Brazil requires helicopters for surveillance. This information is known to Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin knows two types of information available with Lockheed. One is that HAL produces a helicopter. Second is Brazil has a requirement for helicopters. So Lockheed Martin facilitates an export from HAL into Brazil for the helicopters. So ultimately whatever is the transaction between HAL and let's say the Brazilian Air Force or the Brazilian Navy or any other organization in Brazil, whatever is the transaction, if it is $100 million, so that $100 million worth of offset credits will be accruable to Lockheed Martin. So what Lockheed Martin has done? Lockheed Martin has facilitated an export from an Indian company to a foreign country. So that is called execution of export orders. In this, what the foreign OEM is expected to do is to show cause. He has to show cause and justify to the government that in fact he has facilitated this export order to take place. Okay, the next avenue for discharge of offsets is foreign direct investment for manufacture and maintenance. If you see the entire focus of the offset policy from 2006 has been DFI. It was never an FDI. It was a direct foreign investment. If you see the offset policy of 2005, 2006, 2008, 2011, till 2011, we maintained the DFI. If you see the FDI policy, the FDI circular of the Government of India issued by the Ministry of Commerce, you will find at para 4C, it talks of DFI. DFI was a broader term than FDI, which encompassed, in addition to FDI equity, FDI non-equity, it also encompassed investment in kind, and therefore DFI was used in the offset policy. But probably this created some confusion in the mind both of the government and the industry, because DFI was a term that was not really understood by both in full. Therefore, what the government has done they came out with a clear clarification to this, and they have, in fact, they have benefited all of us by telling us that, one, we are looking at an FDI equity. We are looking at FDI for manufacture and maintenance, either in manufacture, co-development, co-production, or in the maintenance services. Any FDI from a foreign OEM into an Indian company without any market capitalization will count as offset credits. What it means is that if Lockheed Martin, I'm only taking one name today for the sake of uniformity. So if Lockheed Martin makes investment of $10 million into an Indian company for manufacture of, let's say, empennage, then that $10 million will accrue as offset credits. Next, the next one is, now the government talks of investment in kind. At the end of the day, we are looking at capability building. Capability building does not come by equity alone. The government recognizes this, and therefore they said investment in kind in terms of transfer of technology is what it was called. So what does this mean? This has been a long-standing demand of both the Indian industry as well as the foreign OEMs, that on one side the foreign OEMs say that we want to source this from this Indian company, but this Indian company cannot manufacture this particular product in full. Therefore, we want to give some sort of an incremental technology to this company so as to be able to produce this product, and we want to be recognized for that incremental technology that we pass on. So therefore, the government said, yes, investment in kind in terms of TOT. Whenever you give a TOT to an Indian company, it will be recognized. So the question was, how do you value this TOT? How do you recognize this? So the government then went on to a very wonderful situation. This is almost as it is available in the British offset policy, in the UK offset policy, where we are not talking about, let's say a foreign OEM will come and say, will pass on 2 CDs to an Indian company and say, this is manufacturing and I cost it $100 million or $10 million. So now it's very difficult to value this, and we'll keep arguing with, we'll keep wasting all the time in discussions to find out what is the correct value. So the government says nothing. So what we recognize is, yes, there is a value, but what we will give you is, whenever you do an investment in kind and we are satisfied that that investment in kind is in terms of transfer of technology, we will give you a multiplier of 110% on every product that you buy out of this company which comes out of the technology that you have transferred. So whatever technology has been transferred has to be useful technology. The government has ensured this. So the technology is put to use, and the product that comes out of this technology will be getting a value of 110%, and here there is a multiplier of 1.1, and the foreign OEM accrues a benefit automatically. Then comes, okay, it's not always required that you transfer only technology. Sometimes you might have to transfer production lines, jigs, tools, equipment, because certain of these equipments are not manufactured in India. For example, everybody knows the best of the precision equipments are manufactured, let's say, in Germany. So there will be some requirement in some Indian companies that we require the best of these equipments. So we say, okay, the government says investment in kind in terms of provision of equipment for manufacture and maintenance. So whenever an equipment is given either for manufacture or for maintenance, it can be brought, physically handed over in the Indian company, and then it will be given a value. Now he'll say, okay, I brought this equipment. The cost of this equipment is, let's say, $10 million. So the government says, okay, fine. I don't get into any argument with you. Let's agree to $10 million. Now, but the government has laid a small condition over here. They say, we will give you the offset credits for the investment in kind that you have done, provided during the period of discharge, during the period of the contract, you buy back 40% of either the product or the services that comes out of this equipment. So as long as you buy back 40%, I am giving you full offset credits, which means it's something like a 1.6 multiplier, which works out over here. But this multiplier is indirect. This multiplier is only in terms of making sure that the equipment that comes in kind is really valuable to the Indian company. Only when it is valuable, he will buy back. When he buys back, we know that the whole world will buy, and therefore that offset credits is worthwhile and the Indian company will be profitable. All these are basically to safeguard the interests of the Indian company. Otherwise, it's possible that the foreign OEMs, I'm not trying to cast any aspersions, but somebody may just dump something which is not required, either by him or by the company, and claim an offset credit. The government will blink in between, give the offset credits for no value that has been added to the Indian company. Remember, at the end of the day, we are talking about capability building in India. Now I'll come to this very interesting thing. When you talk of investment in kind, and you say there should be a 40% buyback when it is given to an Indian company, but the same investment in kind, when it is given to a government enterprise, a government company, which is a BRD, a base repair depot of the Air Force, or the Army base workshops, or the naval dockyards, or DRDO. When any such equipment is given either for testing, maintenance, or for production, if it is given to a government organization, the 40% buyback condition is not insisted, because it is believed that the government institution has got enough checks and balances to make sure that they will get exactly what they require, and therefore we believe that we don't need to really protect a government institution. So it should be taken in that spirit. And ladies and gentlemen, the most important aspect of the entire offset policy is this, which I am now highlighting, which is the technology acquisition by the DRDO. It is unique, it is different, it is suited most beautifully to the Indian context, and here is the DRDO which has come out with a very wonderful draft for inclusion into this policy, in which they say that they will acquire technologies. When we say we acquire technologies, it is with full and unfettered rights, it is with complete IP, it is with the complete rights over that technology. And for the first time, the DRDO has given out a list of indicative technologies that they are interested in acquiring. And I'm sure this is not a completely exhaustive list. And therefore, if there is any futuristic technology that is available and an OEM is willing to transfer, the DRDO is most willing to consider that and discuss on that. And here, the benefits to the OEM are a multiplier up to 300% at the input stage. We are talking about a multiplier of 2, 2.5, and 3. 3 for full, complete, unfettered rights. 2 if it is only for used by the Indian Armed Forces, and 2.5 if it can be allowed for use by the other forces in India other than the Indian Armed Forces. So therefore, when you see a technology acquisition by the DRDO, you really know what really is going to happen here is the OEM cannot crib that Indian industry is not capable of absorbing technology, because the one who is going to absorb this technology is going to be the DRDO, which is the scientific arm of the Ministry of Defense. They have the wherewithal. They will nominate a particular lab which will acquire the technology. The lab will completely acquire the technology. They will get the offset multiplication for the technology that they have given. There will be a discussion between DRDO and the OEM for this technology that is going to be transferred. The OEM may say, I cost this technology is $100 million. The DRDO may come back and say it's only $50 million. So they will agree to some price in between, and on the agreed price and the agreed multiple that they will get. So once the lab acquires this technology, then this particular DRDO lab will in turn carry out a technology transfer to an Indian selected nominated Indian industry, and with this they can do to one or they can do to multiple in the Indian context, and this technology will be available on a commercial basis to the companies in India. Offset banking, all of you are aware, it's been there for some time, since DPP 2008. Foreign OEMs can come and create offset projects even before an RFP has been initiated. The idea was that they can beat the coterminous application. Everybody said, that coterminous application is very difficult, and we can't do the complete offsets in the period of discharge. So the government said, fine, come ahead, don't wait for an RFP. You know that you're going to participate, do the offsets, and once you bank it, then you can always take it as a discharged offset credits when you come to the RFP. The revised offset guidelines have provided a longer validity period for banking of offset credits. Earlier it was 2.5 years. Now it is up to 7 years. The second thing that they have done is, they said for a particular program in which an OEM is participating, from the bank offset credits, from your bank, you can bring only 50%. You can, not from the bank. For the particular program, if the program offset obligation is $300 million, then you can bring only up to 50% of this. That is $150 million of this can come from your bank. 150 should be fresh. So therefore, in spite of somebody doing an offset banking, he will still have to discharge a lot of fresh offset obligations in respect to that particular contract. With this, these are the eligible products which are in defense. These are defined. I'm not going to talk about it. You can see it. It is there on the website. When you talk of defense, we talk of small arms, motors, bombs, energetic materials, and all these things. And there's really nothing much to discuss on this. This is for you to fit in as to where your company is, and which portion of this particular product that you can see. And inland and coastal security have been included. So you can see that, we talked about specialized equipment, riot control, equipment for devices, and harbor security, etc. The interesting part that you need to understand here is training. Training has been added, which was not earlier part of the offset policy. Training aids, simulators, associated equipment have been added very specifically. Then you come to civil aerospace. Civil aerospace, the emphasis is on design, development, manufacture, and of course, training aids. We are talking about composites, forgings, test facilities, software specially designed for this. If you notice, there has been a shift in the offset policy from 2011 offset policy to the revised guidelines. Earlier, there was one provision which said DFI, direct foreign investment in research and development in India. So that's not there today, because research and development has come as part of a service. To say that it's been removed from the offset policy is incorrect, because it is now included in the broader sense of the offset policy, and therefore, in addition to the defined services that have been there earlier, like maintenance, repair, overall upgradation, engineering, design, testing, software development, quality assurance, training, research and development services have been added. And here, it's very interesting to note that the government, when he talked about the Indian offset partner, he talks of enterprises. We are talking about academia. We are talking about IITs, which can be Indian offset partners. We are talking about DRDO, which can be Indian offset partners. We are talking about establishments which can be Indian offset partners. So therefore, the entire scope has been widened for a much broader application of the policy. This is where we need to focus. Specifically for the SME sector, for the MSMEs, the government has come out with a very wonderful incentive. They said, if you choose an MSME as an Indian offset partner, then I will give you a multiplier of 1.5. This is where we are all here, and we need to really understand this, absorb this, and see where we fit it. I will not go into the definition of the micro, small, and medium, which all of you are aware of, but I would like to really focus on the incentive that has been given to the OEM and how we can capitalize. Now, I understand, my understanding is not very great about it, and I would really, I'll really solicit your views and solicit your suggestions for this. But I understand that an MSME in India is a one-man show. Normally, an MSME is a small little guy who is either doing welding or is doing machining or is doing something. It may be 1, 10, 5, 10 people. So what happens in an MSME really is that they are concentrating on the work that they have at hand. They don't have the luxury of having a marketing team. They don't have a luxury of having a business development. They don't have the luxury of having a lobbyist lobbying around in Delhi for their products. They don't have the luxury of going around every show in the world to participate and tell that we have this particular product. They can't go to Paris. They can't go to Limoges. They can't go to to London. They can't go here and there because their budgets are limited. Their manpower is limited. Their focus is on niche work that they are doing. So therefore, how can we really get the strength of the MSME, and how can we convert the strength into meaningful and assured business? That is what we need to focus and talk about. And towards this, I would suggest that we form small clusters. These clusters need not be geographical clusters. They should be technology clusters. A cluster could be an MSME, one from Coimbatore, one from Madurai, one from Chandigarh, one from Assam, but it is complementary cluster. Every unit of this cluster produces a complementary product, so that at the end of the day, this cluster can produce the desired product for the Ministry of Defence, either to the Ministry of Defence or the Armed Forces directly, or to the OEMs. And we will discuss this in a while from now. The offset process is fairly simple. I don't want to go, this is more theoretical. Here, there is an RFP, and after the RFP, you have to give a compliance statement. This is for the OEM. He gives a compliance statement, say that I will do this, and should I fail to do this, I may be debarred. Then there is the technical and commercial offset offers. We are following in India what is called as a single stage 2-bid system. So both the bids, the technical and the commercial bids, are given at the same time. And then there is a TOEC, Technical Offset Evaluation Committee, which evaluates the technical offer, and then it is accepted by the DG acquisition. Once it's accepted, and the trials on the other side, the trials and other things are going on with the main equipment. Once the shortlisting is done, then the L1 is decided based on the shortlist is based on the trials criteria and the offset offers. Once the shortlisting is done, the CNC evaluates the shortlisted guys and selects the L1, and the L1 is invited to sign the contract, and the time is something like this. And normally there are cases it has been much lesser than this, but those cases are few. Normally it can exceed longer periods than this, basically because it's public money, and public money requires more scrutiny, and there are more agencies which do scrutiny in the Government of India. So we got to bear with this process, we got to bear with this time, because we are a democracy, an accountable democracy, and therefore this type of time is required by the process itself. So the government bodies associated with offsets, the Ministry of Defence, which has got the DOMW, which is being formed in the recent revised offset guidelines. This is a single window mechanism wherein the DOMW will take care of the offsets post the signing of the contract, and the DG acquisition will take care of the offsets till the signing of the contract. Then the Ministry of Finance, this is for the FIPB. When we talk of investment, the FDI, inequity, so you have to go to the FIPB, take an FIPB approval. One of the MOD does contribute to the FIPB approval, and also there is a CCS for all high value procurements. It has to be cleared by the CCS before it's cleared by the Cabinet Committee on Security. It goes to the Ministry of Finance for a concurrence. The Ministry of Commerce is more on the regulatory aspects to talk about the industrial license. Please note the press note 2 of 2002 and the press note 4 of 2001. These are available on the DIPP website, www.dipp.nic.in, and if you go there and click on the press notes, go to the 2001 and 2002, you will find these press notes. And what is important for us is the press note 2 of 2002, which lays down as to what are the conditions as given by the DIPP SIA. SIA is the Secretariat of Industrial Assistance. So this is only to tell you how the offset banking should be done, more from the OEM perspective. From the Indian perspective, what is important is that you team up with the OEM and say, yes, we are willing to be your partners in the long run. Let's work together and help him create this offset banking proposal by your quality products. And this proposal can be given to the DOMW, which gives an approval, and the banking can start. One very good thing that the government has done now is that they said they have provided a window for the OEMs to say that all the offsets that they have done post 2008 September till now, you can create a banking proposal and take it to the Government of India before 31st March 2013 and submit the same for their evaluations and approval. So what should you keep in mind? The real work starts post RFP, but the hard work is before the RFP. So RFP is okay, is a landmark for us from where we actually do the real work. But to do the real work, you've got to do a lot of hard work. And the hard work is much before the RFP, which is at the RFI stage. Keep looking at the RFIs, keep scouting for them, keep finding out as to who are the possible OEMs, look at the OEMs, find out as to, CII has got the complete knowledge with them on this entire process. They've got the knowledge of the programs. They've got the knowledge of the possible OEMs. They organize. Let me tell you that before every procurement, even before the RFI, CII is the first one to organize a seminar regarding that subject. If it is about air defense gun, you will find that there is a seminar on air defense gun that's going on. If it is on the artillery guns, there is a seminar on artillery that's going on. If it is on the tactical communication system, you will find that there is a DEFCON that is on. Now the next DEFCON that is on the 10th and 11th of November in Delhi. Most of these take place in Delhi, but we do find a few of them in Bangalore, Chennai, like that. But that will be very few, because most of these do take place in Delhi, because what really happens is that the CII calls in the government, the real stakeholders. You will find the user. If you talk about, let's say, if we talk about the DEFCON, you will find the complete signals directorate is there from top to bottom, from the signal officer in chief down till the guy who is working at the desk level. You will find you will find clarity to all the questions that you have regarding the tactical communication system or the battlefield management system or all the procurements that the signals are going to undertake. Then you will find a few bureaucrats at the joint secretary level, at the DG acquisition level, at the secretary DP level. Secretary DP is coming for this particular DEFCON. So from secretary up to director levels, you will find bureaucrats over there. You will find officers from the headquarter integrated defense staff who are at the planning stage, and therefore this provides a platform for industry government interaction. So please do not miss it. And all this happens much before an RFI. Then the RFI. Post RFI, again seminars. After RFI comes RFP. So with this, I'll move on to the next slide, because after this, these are all small little things to say that you only need an MOU, and the CNC is the final stage for offsets. And then what is important is, the value addition. This is very important. At the end of the day, what the government says is, only value addition in India will count towards offsets. So for an Indian partner, for an Indian company, please bear in mind that you're not here to trade. You're not here to support an OEM. You're here to support the Indian Armed Forces, and to that extent, try and create maximum value within the company, within the product, for maximum value for that product. Once you create this value in the product, the OEM will automatically come to your doorstep. It's not the other way around. So tier 1s are permitted. This is not sacrosanct, and I'm sure it could be, tier 2s, tier 3s, SME interaction, and we can work around this and say that this is really going to add value to the entire process of capability building. So what is the NSIC doing in the whole thing? So at NSIC, We want to target the indigenization in the armed forces. We have already interacted with the indigenization directorate. We are talking to the revenue procurement. We are talking to the NGO and others to find out from the revenue procurements what can come to the MSMEs. We have already had discussions with DRDO. We are creating a technology bank with the various delegations that go abroad. So we want to find out as to how we can infuse technology into the MSMEs. And this is where I said I want to discuss. The rest of the slides I'm not going to discuss. I'm just going to flash it for you. This is the last slide that I'm going to show. And after this, I'm just going to flash the slides and take them away. So let's understand this. Why are we all here for in this seminar? In this seminar, we are here to find out how the MSMEs can benefit from all that we have talked about till now. So what we want to tell them is, we want to tell the MOD that MSMEs should be able to participate in the Buy Indian programs directly with the MOD. How does that happen? Because the MOD requires a product. In about 100% cases or maybe 99% cases, an MSME does not deliver a product. So what do? So we have got to work, MSMEs, NSIC, CII, we have to put our minds together to find out as to how we can create a product from 3-4 MSMEs. So we can do that. So how do we do that? We are telling the MOD that we want to be in the planning stages along with you, so that we understand out of the 100, because somebody told me when I went and met the people there, and we met people, they said, what are you talking? MSMEs, we require a product and MSMEs can't deliver a product. I said, yes, you're absolutely right. And I'm so happy that your knowledge about MSMEs is correct. But then, if we want to develop capability building, we have to help him. He says, even I'm in agreement with you. So he was in agreement with me that we have to develop a capability. I was in agreement with him that we don't develop a product. So what we are saying is, at the planning stage, if we know that, so I told them out of your 100 Buy Indian procurements, there may be 10 which MSMEs can take on. And we will do the integration. We will find out how we have to do the integration. We will find out those 3-4 SMEs which can come and participate together. And we will project them as a cluster. So either the cluster leads the procurement or NSIC leads the procurement. Fortunately for all of us, there is an MSMED Act of 2006. This is an Act of Parliament. Defence procurement procedure is only a procedure. It is internal to the Ministry of Defence. Offset provisions, offset guidelines are a part of that procedure, which is again internal to the Ministry of Defence. But the MSMED Act is an Act of Parliament applicable across the government, all ministries. What does the MSMED Act say? MSMED Act stipulates that NSIC can be recognized as a supplier. So NSIC can front end. NSIC can go and respond to an RFP, pay the DMD, do all the dirty work of responding to the RFP, get responses, do the business development for you. And at the back end, NSIC can find out these 3-4 people together who can produce this product and give the real orders to you. So this is how we want to participate in Buy Indian. The question that's being raised in the Ministry of Defence is, how do you assure the quality? Because NSIC has got no wherewithal to assure quality. We are working with CII. We are working with, as of now, we are working only with CII. We want to focus only on that. We are working with CII to find out as to how we can actually get it into implementation. Talking is one thing, implementing is another thing. So we want to implement, and to help us implement, if any one of you or all of you or many of you can give us some suggestions, we want to form those technology clusters. We will give you advanced information of the products that are in mind. And with this, let us form these clusters. The cluster can lead the procurement, NSIC can lead the procurement. We will enable that between CII and NSIC. And then we want to make sure that at least one case happens before, one case happens in the early 2013. This is our aim. Once one case happens, then we know what to do for the rest. And this is the only way we can bring in the MSMEs to play a big role in the Buy Indian. And Buy Indian, let me tell you, is more than about 30% of the total procurement. Total procurement is about something like 60,000 crores each year. 30% of 16,000 crores, we're talking about 18,000 crores. Out of 18,000 crores, even if we target 50% of it, 9,000 crores, I think we are doing well. So let's target at something. Let's target at small beginnings, even 20 crores, 30 crores, 40 crores. We start off and get the business into the MSMEs. Next is the buy and make Indian. In the buy and make Indian, normally what happens is this RFP is given to leading conglomerates like the Tatas, the L&Ts, and the like. So what do MSMEs do in this? So what we are telling is, when you give a RFP to these big guys, please mandate on them that they will procure at least 20% from the MSMEs. This is in accordance with the public procurement policy, and we are trying to, of course this is in the future, we want to influence for the buy and make Indian and similarly for the make category. As far as the participation with OEMs is concerned, what we are telling OEMs is, CII and NSIC can form what is called as a Strategic Defense Council. What we will do is, we'll interact with the OEMs and tell them that you give us $75 million worth of work every year. We will find those 75 MSMEs to whom we can redistribute this work and do the program management with those 75. For you, for every $75 million, you get a 1.5, which means you are talking about 75 plus 30, about $110 million worth of offset credits. So you get a benefit. For us, we are developing 75 or 80 MSMEs at the back end, and here we will do the program management and get this thing going. So this is a concept that we are floating as of now. We have to really see the contours of management. We have to see as to how effectively we can actually bring it down. And once we hit even a small success, that will be the beginning of the rest. So, we will represent the MSMEs. As I told you, I'm going to only flash these things. We've started compiling a database. We will lead, MSMED Act. We talked about this. We want to pass the RFIs to the units, and we do the facilitation, and we can give advice on policy procedures that we can do anytime, like through webinars like this, or if you can request a specific webinar from the CII on specific subjects. Let's talk one day only on technology, one day only on investment in kind, one day only on direct purchase. So I think we'll work that out. So then we talk about specific things, and then we at the grassroots level we'll be able to get as to what really will benefit. So we are looking at all these things. We're in funding. This is a very interesting thing. We talked about funding. NSIC has got a thing with about a few banks, about 16, 17 banks. We've got some MOUs, and we are also exploring a PE route and a foreign line of credit as well. And all these are pitched in the future. If this happens, we will get a funding at about 8%, 7-8%. Today it's about 16%. So we have yet to interact with SIDBI and find out as to how and what we can do over there. And in the meantime, we are also trying to target the technology fund that's available with the government and see as to how this can be put to good use. There is a single point registration scheme in the NSIC. All your local offices will be able to tell you more about that. And we are trying to bring in the synergy. And it was established in 1955, and we've got more than about 143 offices. We do marketing, credit, support services, technology, and these are known to you. Thank you very much, and we can open up for discussion.